Okay, welcome back to Sports Weekly MN. I'm Duff, and with me is my brother and co-host Joe. Joe, how you doing on this absurd day?
I don't have words for this insanity.
It seems a little silly to talk about sports on a
but
day
we're
like
gonna.
this, but we're gonna, and I guess just acknowledge that this is crazy.
There's so many issues in this country.
Yeah. But at least as Minnesotans, we can come together and complain about our terrible sports teams.
Yep, that's right.
So, we have that common denominator.
Yes,
here,
we do.
Here in this great state of Minnesota.
And to be more clear, it's really teams that let us down, right? I mean, the Twins obviously are not a terrible sports team. The Vikings franchise is not terrible. They've had, overall, they had a rough year, but overall they're a good franchise. They've at least won playoff games. The Twins, they have great regular seasons. They just don't win playoff games. So we're always let down, right? We're always let down.
Yep. It's disappointing.
Yeah. The Timberwolves are really bad always, but in the Wild, they're just always stuck in mediocrity. So, but
the Loons are, I don't know.
They're typical Minnesotans. They just let us down. I mean, I don't know what else to say. 15 minutes to go, you're up 3 goals. You can't win the game. 2 goals.
2 goals. Yeah. But that's they understand what it means to be a Minnesota sports team. Now, the real outlier is the Lynx. They actually won something multiple times. So
yeah, they didn't buy into that.
Yeah. But hey, all right. So, where do we want to start?
We do. Well, I'll start with some positive news. Okay. The Gophers men's basketball team is for real. They're not perfect. They're not a number 1 team in the nation or anything. Don't get carried away. I don't even think they're quite top 10, but I will take this team right now. Number 16 ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers beat Ohio State, just ranked below them, but still perennially a good team. Beating them very handily at home. They have a big game tonight against Michigan in Michigan. Now, these wins have come at the barn for the Gophers, which is a tough place to play. Overall, it's a tough place to play historically because it's a raised floor. There's not many raised floors in the game. And I think opponents have a hard time adjusting to that, even though they come to, in the Big Ten, they come to Minnesota quite regularly. It's
so
still
does that mean
hard to play on that floor?
The ball feels different or your feet feel different?
No, I don't think the ball feels different. I don't think your feet feel different. I think it's your eyes. I think it's a visual thing. I think it's, in your brain a little bit. I'm literally 3 to 4 feet above the actual floor of this stadium. It's just weird. It's like playing on a stage.
Oh, I see. So you're saying the floor on which the basketball players are playing is raised above the first row of the seats for the audience.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. You have to walk up steps to get to the basketball court.
Ah, I see. Okay.
It's a unique feature. It's kind of cool. I think if they ever redo the barn, I think they should keep that feature. But I think it takes some adjusting.
So that's good. That's like a home field advantage kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now there has not been any, obviously no students or no fans at all in the stadium this year. So you're not getting that home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Might change a little tiny bit. I guess 150 fans are now available to come into at least the Wild. And I would imagine the Wolf games, which of course won't be fans. I mean, how do you do 150 fans? It's just going to be player
It'll be
families.
Sponsors or player families.
Yeah, as it should be. I mean, for that.
This is America. Money-wise access. It better be the sponsors.
Well, then it could be boosters, for the Gophers.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But anyway, the Gophers are sitting there 10-2, sitting at 3-2 in the conference, having another statement game. They can you show the schedule?
Let's see here. Gophers basketball.
Schedule.
Oh yeah, it says tonight. Number 16 Gophers at the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, and look at the Michigan's undefeated.
Yep.
the Big Ten is just stacked with great teams. Can you show the schedule laying out for the Gophers?
Well, here's the ranking of the Big Ten teams.
Yeah, look at them.
I mean, Michigan 9-0, Illinois 8-3.
This isn't the ranking. This is just where the conference, based on conference.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. But can you show the Gophers schedule, what they've played in the last 4 or 5 games?
Yeah.
Who they've played and who they have to come. So really, it started up here, right? They played Illinois. Okay, they lost to Illinois, and it wasn't even a close game. Right here.
Right here. Yep.
And then so they had Illinois on the 15th, and 5 days later they played St. Louis, which at the time was unranked. But as you can see, is ranked 23rd now. They beat St. Louis. Then they had the Iowa at home on the 25th, who's ranked 5 now, but was ranked 3rd at the time. They beat Iowa. Then Michigan State comes to town, and they destroyed them. It wasn't even a game. I mean, it wasn't even close from the onset. Then they go to Wisconsin and they lose, and it's not that score's closer than the game was. The game was fairly close in the first half, wasn't close in the second half.
I see. Okay.
They didn't look like they were involved in that game. They didn't look like they were ready to play. They didn't look like they were even interested in playing for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you. But then Ohio State comes to town and they right the ship again. And Ohio State is not ranked now, but they were ranked 25th.
Okay.
So now they've played Illinois 12. St. Louis at the time was unranked, but now 23rd. Iowa 5 at 3rd at the time. Michigan State was 14th or something, and now 23rd. Wisconsin was 10th, now they're 8th. Then Ohio State was ranked, and they're not now. Then they play Michigan tonight, ranked 10th. Then on the Sunday, they play Iowa in Iowa, and Iowa, of course, is 5th. Then they have Michigan come to town, who's ranked 10th. Finally, to end the schedule, they end the madness. They get Nebraska. Maryland, Purdue. So the schedule lines up. But that is a murderer's row there. Look at that schedule. That's insane.
Hopefully they can win a couple of these games.
I mean, if they win 2 of these games, amazing. I think they'll win at least one of these games. I mean, it's hard, if they don't beat Michigan tonight, they'll probably beat them at the barn. Yeah. It's just hard to beat team twice back to back. I don't know if they're going to beat Iowa on the road. It took some crazy Marcus Carr magic to beat Iowa last time. And Iowa's a very good team. And Luke Garza is a very good player.
Right.
But it's fun. It's exciting. I bought into this team. They have on most nights the best player on the floor, and we know in the game of basketball, along with many sports, if you have the best player on the floor, it really matters.
That's
Not
right.
so much baseball, unless that best player is the pitcher.
Yep.
But all the other sports, for the most part, if you have the best player out there, it makes a big difference, and it makes a huge difference in hockey and a huge difference in basketball. And you can see it. Marcus Carr on most nights is the best player on the floor, and
I think that's true. I think basketball is the biggest example of that, simply because there's only 5 players per team out there, and so each
hockey,
player is representing a big fraction of the just number of people. But in hockey, you're constantly cycling players, so you
can scheme hockey a little bit easier too.
Yes. Yep. Whereas basketball, like, you can have your top player play most of the game, unlike in hockey where even your top player is playing a third of the game if you have 3 lines.
Yeah. Well, if he's a defender, he might play a third, might play a little bit more than that. But if he's an offensive player, he won't even play that much.
That's right. Yep. So I think that makes basketball like the most important example of like where it matters to have the best player in the game. In baseball, like, you could have Garrett Cole, but he actually only pitches one out of every 5 games. So
right. So when he's pitching, he makes a huge impact. When he's not pitching, it is 0 impact.
But even if he won every single game, that's only 20% of your games.
Right. I mean, look at Mike Trout, right? He hasn't played in the playoffs yet.
That's right.
No one would say there's a better player in the baseball than Mike Trout. Now, you could argue a few players might be as good as Mike Trout was this year, but nobody would argue that there's anybody better.
That's right. That's right.
And he's never been in the playoffs. So.
Yep.
Not quite the same for LeBron James.
How many rings does that guy have now?
I think 5.
Gee, crazy. Okay, well,
so anyway, tune in, Gophers, watch them. Let's go.
Cool. So maybe on the topic of basketball, we'll.
I did want to say one thing about college basketball. It was confirmed today, but lost in the madness of today, that the NCAA tournament will be fully in Indianapolis.
I think that was yesterday. I saw that yesterday.
There won't be host sites. I think they announced it yesterday and they confirmed it all today.
Got it. Okay.
So there won't be any crazy There'll just be Indianapolis. And I think that's a great move this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It could be a long-term move. I don't think it'll be a long-term move because it kind of brings money into other teams. But for this year, I think it's a wonderful move. I think it's really the only move they have. They could bubble these teams then. And
maybe, yeah.
I think to a point you probably could. It's not going to be perfect. But I did want to say that. So that's coming in March.
Cool. So I guess sticking with basketball, there's a team from Minnesota who participates in basketball games, and they're called the Minnesota Timberwolves. And boy, I mean, we talked about it last week, but so I've watched every game. Now a lot of them are late, so I turned it off at maybe like the third quarter. But like last night, I basically watched the whole game, and I don't know. I guess you haven't watched any of them because
but they have not been in a game since Towns went out. I mean, Towns clearly makes a difference.
Yeah. So that's sort of true. Like if you look at the final score, they've lost every game by like 20 plus points, but they've all been very different. So like the first couple games after Towns was injured,
I think
they were down like they
didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they were down like 20 points by the end of the first quarter.
Yeah,
okay? I mean, those were just epically terrible games. But lately, the past couple of games, so against the Nuggets last night, for example,
there's no shame in losing to the Nuggets.
They stuck with them.
Team.
They stuck with them, and actually, they were leading at halftime by 1 or 3 points or something like that.
Yeah.
But then they melt down, of course, in the fourth quarter. But my point is, they're still losing by 20 points, but they're losing those 20 points now in the fourth quarter as opposed to the first quarter. Yeah. So at least it makes the game a little more interesting to watch.
Right. And I think
the last entertaining.
Game, I think the last game there was some definite progress. The Wizards game was an embarrassment. You should not have lost to the Wizards.
Terrible.
Got blown out by the Wizards. Come on. All you have to do is shut down Bradley Beal, for crying out loud. They don't have anybody else.
Yeah. They've been really bad games. And I mentioned this a little bit last week, but I'm not even a huge basketball guy, but even I can tell, like, they're not even running plays half the time. On offense, it's like Rubio has the ball and he's like looking around, looking for somebody to get open. Nobody really gets open. Nobody's hustling. And then he's like, okay, I'll take a 3-pointer from 6 feet behind the arc. It's like, that's like just a low probability shot. And he's continually taking those, and other people are too. It's not just, Rubio's fault, but I mean, it's really sad to watch that style of basketball. But last night there was actual progress in the game against the Nuggets because there was a lot of hustle from the team. Lots of guys were contributing. Lots of guys that you don't really hear their names a lot, like Hernan Gomez. And
he had a great game.
He had a great game, and Vanderbilt did pretty well as well. He can't shoot free throws, but I think he missed 6 free throws.
It can get in your brain, I guess. I don't know.
Oh boy. But look, they're making unforced fouls, like away from the ball. Like it's just like mind-bogglingly dumb how many of these like ridiculous fouls they're making. And it's putting the opposing team in the bonus after like 2 minutes into the quarter. It's like,
it's not.
What are you thinking? And right. So they're making these horrible fouls, and there's not a lot of hustle. They're not driving to the basket to get guys open. But when they do those things, so last night they did those things. For the first 3 quarters of the game, they weren't making so many unforced errors.
It was good to see.
They had some hustle. They drove to the basket. They were like,
so it's progress.
They were making progress, and then
against the playoff team. The Nuggets are going to be a playoff team.
They're a good team.
They're a good team.
And
Jokic, who might be the MVP.
He's pretty absurd.
He's a stud.
And he got 2 technicals last night.
Kicked out.
No, he wasn't, because it turns out there's this funny rule. So his first one was he had a dunk and then he hung on the basket and did like a pull up, and that's considered a technical, but it's like a throw them out of the game technical.
It's a technical if it's not unsafe underneath the hoop. So you can hang on the rim if someone's underneath you and it's not safe for you to come down.
That was not what happened last night, though.
If you choose to hang on the rim and there's no one underneath you, then it's basically taunting, and then it's a technical foul. But like you said, it doesn't count for ejection.
That's right. So I was confused. I thought when he got his second technical, I thought, oh, he's gone, but like he was still in the game. And then I think one of the announcers mentioned like, oh, the hanging on the rim is like, it's a technical, but it's not like that kind of a technical.
Right.
So anyway,
it's just for trying to show up the other team.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so look, the Timberwolves have a lot of problems, but they've actually been in a couple of games now, and it hasn't been just immediately they're down by 20 points. They've shown some heart. And look, the Timberwolves are not a great team, but it's nice to see them actually play some basketball here and show some hustle. And like, yeah, Karl Anthony Towns isn't going to be on the team probably for a long time, but that doesn't mean the rest of these guys can't play basketball. Like they're NBA players. They should know about hustling, and they should know about driving to the hoop and passing the ball and not just settling for taking a 3-pointer that's 6 feet behind the arc. Like I don't know, just those low probability shots just drive me nuts. What are you doing? Yeah. And there's, the other thing that I really like to see that. So when I say hustle, what does that mean? That means two things to me anyway.
And to me, it means working hard and going all out and just doing your best.
Yep. And I think that's true. And in basketball, I would say though, there's two things that you sort of see, or at least that I look for when I say somebody's hustling.
Defense.
The first one is on defense. Are they really getting in there? Are they getting steals? Are they swatting the ball out of bounds, disrupting the offense, right? That to me, that's what hustle looks like on defense.
Yeah.
You're disrupting the offense from what they want to do. And on offense, I would say the hustle is getting down to the end of the court while there's still transition. Like get your guys down there and drive to the hoop. Like, boy. But I don't know. Basketball is still, it's always a little bit infuriating to me. Because I don't know what a foul is. I feel like it's so subjective.
Incredibly.
It's
the
like,
stars get the fouls and the stars can travel. I mean, look at James Harden all the time. His step back three is a travel 60-70% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy
and
how often that guy travels. And it's never
I actually think that's true for a lot of NBA players. It's like, wait a minute, they just took 4 steps and didn't dribble. How is that not a travel?
If you don't know what we're talking about, I want you to watch a college game, and then I want you to watch an NBA game, and you will see the difference between the travels. In fact, you're surprised when travel's called in the NBA. I mean,
I swear, like they don't even have to like dribble the ball.
I literally saw a guy take 6 steps with the ball, and if travel is not called, you're like, well, okay, well, all right. And, I mean, okay, I don't know what to do.
But I have to say, like this past couple weeks when I've been watching the Wolves games, it's easily been the highest density of games of basketball games I've watched in probably 10 years.
Yeah.
At least maybe 20 years. It's been a long time since I've watched more than 5 minutes of a basketball game. Sure. Except for the past 2 weeks, I've watched a lot of Timberwolves games, and it's been great.
Where did you get all this time on your hands?
Yeah, exactly. So I've been surprised by 2 things. One is I really like the replay now. The refs are really working hard to make sure that they're getting the right call. And they like think about it and they discuss, and it's like, oh, yep, that's the right call. I like that coaches can challenge now. I think know
there's
when
one, isn't there?
That started
a couple years ago.
But they can challenge, and you can challenge a penalty. Like this happened last night, for example. There was some there was some foul called on the Nuggets, or I can't remember exactly what happened, but somebody challenged like the call, which was they called a foul, and they're like, no, it wasn't a foul. It was actually a foul on the Timberwolves. And so so they really work hard to get it right. In that case, it didn't work out favorably for the Timberwolves, but look,
that's okay. The right call was made.
They made the right call. And it's like, wow, the NFL could learn something from this.
Yeah, the NBA is pretty subjective with their foul calls, and it drives me absolutely bonkers when the person behind the play, who should only be watching a certain part of the play, because there's only 3 refs out there, and basketball is extremely hard to ref. But they're only watching a certain part of the game, and then they're calling a foul call on a part of the game they shouldn't even be watching.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you doing? Let the guy down there that's in his position make that foul call.
Yeah.
Actually, because he has the best view, and he's the one that's supposed to be doing it.
When we interviewed Coach Keller, he said the same thing.
Yeah,
that like refs are really territorial in basketball, and like stay out of my area. That wasn't your responsibility.
Right. You got the 3 areas because that's what they're in position to see. I can't see through 6 guys. If that guy's doing a moving screen, I can't see that. But the guy behind the play that's right over there can certainly see it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my reactions from the first couple of games. The Timberwolves now, I guess, are what, 2-6?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. They'll probably win 1 or 2 more here before Towns comes back, but I don't expect many wins.
No, they're 2-5. Sorry.
And when Towns comes back, it's a completely different team. They just don't have anybody in the post right now to stop them. And Towns is not a good defender. You shouldn't say that. He's not a great defender. He's an okay defender. He's about replacement level defender. I think he has the ability to be better. But he's at least a big body down there that is replacement level. So he can slow it down and stop and make the other team think about it. And plus, he provides a dynamic on offense you just can't replicate.
Yep. And, they have
he's a top 15 player in the NBA. What are you going to do? You can't. If he goes down, he goes down. I mean, it is
the person they have in there now, Naz Reid, has been getting a lot of minutes. He's below replacement level.
Yeah, and he's going to rack up fouls and.
Oh, it's infuriating the number of bad choices he's making.
Yeah,
just
his arms gotta go small, right?
And reaching in. It's like, smart players, when they see that reach in, they're going to run right into you because then they get the call. And well, look, anyway, the Timberwolves, their record is 2-5. The top team in the Western Conference is the Nuggets at 3-4. Go figure. But at this point, the record is not really what.
Well, it could be COVID related now too. You miss guys sit out because of COVID things.
Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. The Timberwolves need to figure out how to play without Karl Anthony Towns, and I think they are figuring it out. It's just infuriating that it's been 5 games now, and they've lost each of those 5 games by like 20 or more points, and not all of the games. It's funny because you look at these scores and they're like, oh, they're basically all the same, but they're not. They've been completely different games. It's one thing to lose by 20 and when it all fell apart in the last 3 minutes. It's another thing to lose by 20 when you were down by 20 3 minutes into the first quarter.
Right.
Right. But look, here's what's happened in each one of these games. In each one of these games, there's been a solid 5-minute or longer period of time when the Wolves don't score. It just goes on and on and on, and it's mistake after mistake after unforced error. And meanwhile, so they get down 20 points because when you go 5 minutes or 6 minutes or 7 minutes or 8 minutes without a field goal or even any points, that like, oddly, when you go 0 for 16, like, you might lose by a big amount. So that's what they need to avoid. They honestly be an okay team if they could just avoid these stretches of like 5 to 10 minutes where they score 0 points. Like, you can't win a basketball game when you go that long without scoring any points. And I mean, I don't know. Look, Ryan Saunders has got to figure out how to motivate his guys and get them to hustle, because when they do hustle, they're fine. They like play okay basketball, and it's fun to watch. But it's really tough to watch when you go through these 5 to 10 minute segments where they can't score anything. And it's like, that's when you need to slow it down and get a good play worked out where you can like drive to the basket and take a high probability shot. Maybe get a foul call,
Agreed.
No, I'm sorry, like 3-pointers that are 6 feet beyond the arc, like I'm not interested in that. That's not a great shot. So speaking about other things that we're not too interested in, shall we talk Vikings?
Yeah.
And week 17. So Zimmer hasn't been fired.
No, and I don't think he will be. They'll be brought back. It probably mostly due to his 3 years remaining on his contract.
Yeah.
It's expensive. Team didn't make the crazy money that they normally do. So, though the Vikings will have the 14th pick in the NFL draft as of this point. They could trade up, trade down. They will trade at some point. I expect actually to see some movement up this year. They have a ton of 4th round and 3rd round picks. They do not have a 2nd round pick though, and I know they'll try to jump back into the 2nd round. But I would like to see them package a deal and move into the top 10 here and get the best offensive lineman you can get. Unless the quarterback falls that they like, and then take that. And then obviously they need some defensive help. They need defensive line help. And probably need a safety. I don't think Harris is going to be on this team anymore.
You don't think so?
No, makes too much money and he had too much of a down year. Barr coming back. I don't know. Do they cut Barr? It's possible. Save a lot of money there. Good player yet, but coming back off an injury, could see him cut. So that would be another outside linebacker they would need. Do they trade Danielle Hunter? Here's where I'm at with Danielle Hunter. If a team comes in and says, we're going to give you a 1st round pick for Danielle Hunter, you trade him immediately. Yeah. Yep. Trade him immediately for that. And I think about it if they offer a 2nd round pick. And that's nothing against Danielle Hunter. I absolutely love Danielle Hunter. The man, he's a man child out there. He's just wants quarterback money. He wants to be the highest paid defensive player in the game. And you could argue that maybe you should be top 3, top 5, but come on now. You are not the best defensive player in this game. That goes to a man who plays for the Rams. So, if he says, no, I'm holding out until I get the contract, and I say,
wow, for nothing.
Hunter.
Wow.
Okay. And I trade him. I just do, because you can't pay a defensive end that kind of money and think you're going to win when you have a quarterback making that kind of money.
Yep.
And knowing that he does not elevate your team enough to win pretty much single-handedly. So Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback. We've said it many times on this show, but Kirk Cousins does not lift your team enough on his own without offensive line help, without a tight end help, and I don't think the Vikings need tight ends. They're good on tight ends, but they need a good tight end. They need the running back. They need the wide receivers. And you could say most quarterbacks do, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers would need these 2 wide receivers to be that successful, right? He's got Devontae Adams, but how much of Devontae Adams is Aaron Rodgers?
Right.
Much of Aaron Rodgers is Devontae Adams. I think we would argue that Aaron Rodgers makes up the bigger difference. Don't get me wrong, Devontae Adams is a great player, but you get my point, right?
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? If Danielle Hunter wants that kind of money, you can't give it to him and think you're going to win long term. And we're not that close to a Super Bowl that you say, I don't care, I'm going for the Super Bowl. We're not. Right. Vikings are not that close where they can say that to Danielle Hunter. So I think Rudolph is cut unless he agrees to a restructure at a low minimum. I think you could say the same for Riley Reif. And I think Riley Reif was their best offensive lineman this year, probably about replacement level.
Yep.
He's making good money. So they have some hard decisions made here. They do have an explosive offense. They have playmakers at the playmaking positions. I think Irv Smith is going to be a good player for the Vikings for a long time at the tight end position. Obviously, you have Justin Jefferson, you got Adam Thielen. I mean, you got the two top wideouts right there. You know, top three duo in this league already. You got Dalvin Cook, who's a stud. So you need offensive line help. If a quarterback falls to you, I take it and try to move back up then in the draft. And then also you need a lot of defensive line help. And possibly more if they get rid of that. So luckily the Vikings typically draft pretty well. They don't always hit on their first round pick, but then later in the draft, they always get a couple. I think Eric Kendricks was a second or third, maybe a fourth rounder. Daniil Hunter was a fourth round pick. I mean, come on, find a Daniil Hunter in the fourth round. I mean, Stephon Diggs was a fifth rounder. Adam Thielen wasn't even drafted. Justin Jefferson fell into your lap, but you took him.
So,
of course,
here's a question. Do you think Dan Bailey will be back?
No. I think they're going to draft a kicker late.
God, don't draft another kicker.
Well, what does it matter if you got 12 sixth-round picks?
Well, that's true. Yeah. If it's, yeah. That's what I don't understand. Why
I take the kicker
Spielman
from Georgia if he comes out, man. Did you see that?
No, tell me about this.
He won the bowl game on a last second kick from 53 yards.
Oh, wow.
That's tempting.
Yeah. So I don't understand why Spielman seems to every year get in this position where he's like always missing one of the top picks, but then ends up with like a whole bunch of like fifth, sixth, late round picks. Like in my mind, that's totally backwards. Like get rid of those late round picks, package them together for an extra early round pick. That's where you hit. And like, I'm sorry, like yes, the draft is kind of like a lottery, but like not all lottery tickets are made equal. Like the ones at the top of the draft are worth a lot more.
Well, see, Spielman always likes to turn his fifth round pick this year into two sixths and a seventh next year, and then he'd take one of those six and turn it into 2 sevenths the year after that. So he doesn't get good value, but overall he gets a ton of picks. I agree with you. Take 3 of those 6 rounders, package it with a fourth, and jump back into this third round. And then take that third rounder and one of those 6 rounders and get back into the second round.
Say, Joe, your mic is going crazy. Can you like maybe back up a little bit, or I don't know what happened?
Is that better?
No.
Better?
Nope.
See, I didn't do anything, but yours is can't hardly hear you.
Hello? I can't hear you. Okay, we're back after technical issues.
Technical difficulties there, my bad. Don't really know what happened. So anyway, I agree with you on those picks. I think they should package them up, move up, take a shot at those really good players.
So you think Spielman, Zimmer, they're safe. Do you think we're going to get a new offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think Eric Kubiak's going to pull the plug here. They'll probably put like Clint Kubiak or Adam Zimmer in that position. I don't know. This seems a little bit like the country club around there. Not saying that guys don't deserve it, but let's spread out.
Yeah, exactly.
Daryl Bevell might be available from the Lions. He'd look pretty good over here.
Yeah. So I guess kind of my point is the Vikings, have they had the same offensive coordinator for 2 seasons in a row under Zimmer?
No.
Every year it's a new person, right?
Every year.
I don't understand that. But I mean, I know some people leave, like, because they're going to get promoted, like last year.
Stefanski.
Yeah.
And Kubiak retires. Well, okay. But you probably knew that going in.
Yeah.
I think Stefanski was the big loss.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the roughing the passer call?
Oh, yes. So Lions fans were complaining about this call, and
hold on.
They were absolutely wrong. So what happened was Kirk Cousins, the Vikings are down at like the 3rd yard line, 4th down.
I'll bring it up.
Pardon? They're
I've
way
got it
down
here.
at the goal line, the 4th down, and the Vikings are gonna try for a touchdown. And the Lions guy comes through the line, totally destroys Kirk Cousins, and is sacked. Meanwhile, the back judge, he's literally 4 feet from the play, and he throws a flag for roughing. Now, Lions fans were crying foul. How could you call this on the Lions? The NFL hates the Lions. And I'm sitting there, no. The NFL hates the Vikings. I don't understand how this is not a this is not a penalty.
Okay. I think it's here, right?
It happened before this, yeah. It wasn't this late. This is the 2-point conversion. It comes before this stuff.
Oh, really?
This is the touchdown they scored after they got the first down.
Oh, I see.
On the penalty. Okay, so nope, that's not it. They scored here. Okay.
This is 3rd quarter. It was in the 4th quarter, right?
Yeah, it's just beyond this. I don't know if it's on the replay. Okay, here it is. 4th down. Oh no, it was before that.
Oh, well then it's not on the highlights.
That's the play that they ran after they got the first down.
So this is the play before. This is the highlight reel.
That's not the play before. This is the drive. No, it's the drive. It's the drive. Okay, 2nd and goal. This was after they got sacked. Okay, that was after Kirk Cousins was sacked, and it should have been Lions ball. All right, and then on the first, so then they were down at like the half-yard line. Well, the first run they get stuffed. On the second one, they just run Kirk Cousins up there for a touchdown. So anyway, what happened was it should have been Lions ball, and the Vikings should have lost, and the game should have been over basically. Well, maybe not. There was some time left, but anyway, Kirk Cousins was sacked. The guy throws a roughing the passer call. It's completely made up. One of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life. Lions fans are calling foul. How in the world do you call this? Blah, 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 blah. And they get it totally wrong. Lions fans should not be upset that it was called. Lions fans should actually love the fact that it was called. I am very mad that this made up call happened.
So here it is, right?
4th and goal. Yep. Okay. So this guy comes in, just runs right over Kirk Cousins. The back judge right there. Mm-hmm. He's not the back judge, but the guy right there. He's 4 or 5 feet away from it, and he throws a pass, just roughing the passer call. I mean, it's just bizarre call. Like the fix is in, right?
Yep.
They want the Vikings to win this game. I just don't understand the NFL why they hate us. Because at this point, the Vikings have nothing to play for. They want to lose, and they want to get – the Vikings don't want to lose, but the fans want to lose because they want a better pick in the draft.
Yep. So there's no helmet to helmet.
No, there's nothing here. He doesn't land on him.
No.
And that's even slowed down.
I mean, a little bit, but
whatever. In real life, that's not a call. I don't know how to make that call. Anyway, he made the call. The Vikings, instead of getting the 12th pick, now end up 14th. And Lions fans were mad. And I'm like, you dumb Lion fans. You just got a better draft pick because of that play call.
Right. Yeah, basically.
So anyway, needless to say, first down we go in and they score a touchdown.
Of course. So
then, yeah, I just don't understand it. Then there was an even worse call made.
Okay.
I don't understand how this could occur. The Lions player catches a touchdown. Bagley catches a touchdown. It doesn't touch the ground, the ball, but he juggles it. He's on his back and he juggles the ball. Then he catches it.
Mm-hmm.
They called it a touchdown. So the call on the field is a touchdown. They go to replay to review it because, yeah, okay, it made me hit the ground. Whatever, I could see them reviewing the call.
But they always review
the
touchdowns.
Replay clearly shows the ball did not touch the ground.
Yep.
They overturn the call. It was not even call stands. It was an overturn. I don't understand. The only plausible explanation is the fix is in.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Vikings to win that game. This must be how the Packers feel every single game.
The call's going to go our way. The call's going to go our way.
The Packers must feel just, maybe you get used to this feeling. I felt cheated. I felt bad for Lions fans.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was ridiculous. And I wanted Vikings to lose the game. And they won the game. I mean, I don't understand how you overturn a call that is clearly the ball doesn't hit the ground, let alone even think it might hit the ground, and you have to overturn it.
That's right. Yep.
Because the guy clearly caught it after he juggled it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in bounds the whole time. It happened in the middle of the field. So it wasn't like going out of bounds thing and he juggled it. Well, then it's not a catch. But the Lions fans just must not understand what a catch is, because as a Vikings fan, I don't know what a catch is, let alone the Lions. That's a reference to a prior Calvin Johnson play.
Look, I think it's pretty clear that the NFL, they give their directives to the refs, and they say we need this team to win. And it's a lot like pro wrestling. Look, it's still entertaining. You know that it's scripted. You know that it's not real, and we can enjoy it anyway, right? And
yeah.
And we just have to not get so caught up in the wins and losses, and just kind of, respect the
I mean, the announcers were making fun of the team, the NFL. It just boggles my mind.
I mean, it's so blatant at this point. It's like, just come out and say that, look, we have our favorite teams and the refs know what to do.
Yep.
The fix is in. So, anything else on the Vikings?
Nope.
So I guess maybe the one thing, well, there's one piece of wild news, and that is there's a new captain. You want to tell us about this?
Jared Spurgeon elected the second permanent captain in the Minnesota Wild franchise history. They Wild used to rotate their captain. Every month or two, they would elect a new one. Sometimes you get reelected. And then they decided to go a different route, and they went with permanent captain. And Mikko Koivu was the captain for 8 years, 7, 8 years. And then now Mikko Koivu they did not renew his contract, so he became a free agent and re-signed with someone else. And Jared Spurgeon has been announced as the new captain. I think it's a very heralded pick. Everyone seemed to agree that he was the best pick for this. Sounds like they were going back and forth between Zach Parise and Jared Spurgeon, and they settled on Spurgeon. And Zach Parise and Ryan Suter are the alternative captains, or the assistant captains per se.
So what does that really mean? I mean, I know they wear the C on their jersey, but what physically is it?
It's more of a, as hockey goes, it doesn't mean anything, but it's just it's an honor thing, and they're expected to kind of be the leader of the team. Not necessarily offense wise, not necessarily defense wise, but just in the clubhouse and that kind of thing. It's a very honorable thing to be named captain.
Got it.
Or assistant. So good for Jared Spurgeon. Excited to see it. Just seems like a good guy.
Cool.
Outstanding defensive player. So
yeah. Yep. And the Wild are starting in about a week. Yeah. January 13th.
I think camp has started.
Yeah.
I want to say the
14th.
18th.
The 14th is their first game. Yep, against the Kings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Very good. Look, I think the last thing to maybe talk about is the Twins. A little baseball news. Look, they haven't signed anyone, but we did get a little clarity this week about what to expect maybe next, and dealing with payroll. So there was a couple of reports. I mean, it's not official, of course, but the couple of reports that we've seen are that the Twins payroll, they're expecting a number around 120 to 125 million, which is okay. They were at 140.
It's too low. It should be 140 to 150.
Well, that's what they were last year. And with COVID, everybody knew that it was not going to go up and probably going to go down. So this is a 10% decrease, which, I mean, it could be worse, right? Other teams are under 50 million. So, the Twins at least are kind of trying.
Who's under 50?
Cleveland, I think, will be when they get rid of Lindor.
Huh.
And probably the Rays too.
Well, I'm not arguing with the Rays, but my goodness.
So there's it's more than one, and I mean technically Cleveland is over 50 right now, but they're going to deal Lindor at some point. So, but look, so they're at like what 90 something now, 95. So they have maybe 25 to 30 million. And so you can sort of think in your mind, like if Nelson Cruz takes 18 of that,
he's not getting 18.
What 15 of that? Then there's still a lot of needs. They need a good starter. They need probably a shortstop. They need another couple relievers. There are needs on this team, and so I've heard
today that they've talked to Simmons. Mm-hmm. They are in on Sonny Gray. Which would be a nice pickup. Mm-hmm. They're basically in on every big free agent. They've talked to Ozuna, which would clearly be the backup plan after Cruz.
Yep.
And you might argue that should be plan A, but I mean, come on. I have no problem with Cruz being plan A.
On a 1-year deal, sure.
Yeah, or even, yeah.
1 year with a team option.
You're not going to give Ozuna 6 years, maybe 4, maybe 3. But so it's good news. Obviously, they're in on Semien. Obviously, not LeMahieu because Arise is there. But
well, there has been some scuttlebutt about the Twins trading Arise. Which
that's all it is, a scuttlebutt. I think the last person this team trades is Arise.
Yeah. I mean, look.
You can trade high on him.
Yeah, if the Yankees want to trade, I'm
a huge Arise guy. You can't teach hitting like that.
No.
You can only improve it. That's a lot of natural ability. It's a lot of thinking process. He's 23 freaking years old, and he looks like Rod Carew without speed.
I mean, he does have some injury issues, so there's a question mark there. But look, at this point, you're playing with house money because he was never a high prospect.
No,
it's just like he came out of nowhere,
Yeah,
and he literally hit himself into a job.
We shouldn't be surprised because the man can hit. He can just flat out hit.
Yep. And as long as he keeps swinging the bat like he can, and he's gonna have a great career. But yeah, if the Yankees came and said, "Hey, you want Garrett Cole? We really want Luis Arise."
Done.
You do it, right? So there's always a price.
Salary, but we're done. I trade him.
There's always a price. But look, Luis Arise is like everything that we were taught about baseball as a kid is like Luis Arise plays the game that way, and
with cockiness.
Really well. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Nope.
As a pitcher, that would drive me nuts. It'd be infuriating. I did too hit that corner.
Yeah. But look, the Twins, they need another good starting pitcher. We're not talking about a number 5 starter. We're talking about like number 4, probably number 3 starter. They need, do they need? I don't think they need a left fielder, and I also don't think they actually need a DH. I think they can fill those internally. They do need a shortstop, like a real shortstop.
I want to see Cruz back.
I think that's nice. I feel like that's on the nice to have, but I don't feel like that's a need. Personally, like from the team standpoint,
I think it's a need unless you get one of those Simmons, Semien type guys. I think at this point it's still a need. Yep. If you get a Semien or a Simmons, then it's not as big a need.
Yep. Agreed. And they need some more help in the bullpen. Now the bullpen help, they can get that for
they'll get that.
They're in on million.
They're in on everybody.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Rosenthal. Rosenthal would be the guy I'd really want to pick up. I think they're gonna get Joakim Soria.
Oh, okay. That'd be good.
I just keep hearing things, and you probably get him for like $2.5-3 million. Well, kind of a no-brainer.
But sadly, that dashes really my hopes of adding a number 1 Cy Young caliber starter to this staff.
I don't know.
Named Trevor Bauer.
Do you call up the Brewers and say, I want Brandon Woodruff and I want Josh Hader? I do. I see what they're asking. That would be amazing get.
Hader is not, well, had an off year, right?
Let's just call it baseball wise. Maybe not personal wise, but baseball wise.
But I think Hader had an off year this year on the field. His numbers
right. So maybe you can buy a little bit lower because the guy is a stud.
Yeah.
You can't be hit on that fastball coming out left-handed and stuff. So.
Yep.
And Woodruff, he would look good on this team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mike Kosciularnak, I'd be fine with that.
That'd be okay. But hey, the Padres didn't add anyone this week, right? So
not that I know
okay.
of. They don't have any more positions.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they make another move. I think they make a big bullpen move yet.
Are you ready for trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this one I want a number. Okay. Are you there?
I accidentally pulled out my speaker, so you have to repeat it.
Oh, whoops. Okay, so trivia this week. I want a number. How many stitches are on a baseball? They all have the same number of stitches.
I've heard this number. Oh man, I don't know. God, good question. I don't know, Duff.
Take a guess.
Okay. 200.
That's pretty close. When I thought about this, I thought it was, I don't know why, I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought it would be like 50. But the answer is 108. 100.
Is that like a double stitch? Because they go in.
Yes, that's right. Yep. Yeah. So a single stitch is like from each side. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
108.
There's 108.
Learned something today.
And the interesting thing is, so it turns out that this was a stitch that was basically created for baseballs.
Sure.
And a couple other things, like it's also, I guess, used in sailing. But the specific type of stitch brings two pieces of fabric together like this, and you don't have to overlap them. So it's a special kind of stitch, and it's called a baseball stitch.
And it's cool because you can put some really cool spin on the ball because of those stitches.
That's right. Yeah. And they kind of stick up over the cowhide. And then they're also
like this.
That's right. And they're not set like this. They're offset. Right. So
yes, they are.
So
that's why I asked about the double stitch, because they go in.
That's right. Yep. So they kind of go in and sneak under, and it allows you to do this magical thing where you can bring the two pieces of fabric together and stitch them strongly without overlap. So
excellent. Learned something today. 108. I'll try to remember that.
108. It's just like a random number. But I don't know. I thought there would be more, but I was looking a little bit into the history of baseballs and how they've changed over the years. But
cool.
That has always been a constant, despite some of the other changes that have gone on in the baseball. I don't know. I was excited about that, but you're absolutely right that the stitches, because of the way that it's stitched, the stitches stick up, and that's exactly what allows you to, based on your grip, make a slider or a curveball or whatever as it spins through the air. So yeah, that's totally the stitches that are doing it. And because sometimes you hear like Bert Blyleven or whatever, they talk about how they like to scuff up the ball, and that helps a little bit, but it's the stitches that are predominantly doing everything. So unless you're a knuckleballer,
but it's still the stitches.
It's doing nothing.
It's
it's the lack of the stitches, right? They're no longer doing anything. So cool. Okay, that's what I have, Joe.
Awesome. Well, everybody, we're living through some crazy times here, so I want everyone to stay safe out there. Okay. Also, remember, please be kind to one another. Grow your own food, and John 3:16.